How's she going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's Workshop. I'm so glad you dropped by today. And hey, if you're new to the channel, thanks a lot for dropping in. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you come back often. Anyhow, the project we're up to today is, in Nanny's garden we have an irrigation system. And in that irrigation system, last year, the year before last, I installed a water filter. The reason I put the water filter in there was we draw our water from the lake to water the gardens, and the lake, you know, in the heat of the summer, algae starts to grow in the fresh water. Of course, there's nothing dirtier than fresh water. But anyway, that algae, the first couple of years I had the irrigation system, I thought that algae was getting into the soaker hoses and growing inside there and more or less preventing them from leaking, because the watering wasn't as efficient. Like the year after I installed the system is when it was brand new. So I installed this water filter hoping to capture this algae before it got to the system. Well, that seemed to work pretty good. But we notice now that the leaking of the soaker hoses is not what it should be. So what we're up to today is we're going to go change out that water filter. However, here's a little twist to this job. I'm not going to put another water filter in. Why, you ask? Because, dumb old me, I can't find my spare. I know I have one in this well-organized shop here, but I can't find it. So we're just going to take that water filter out, see if there's a difference in the amount of water that comes through the soaker hoses, until the next time I get to town and can buy another water filter. And this time I'm going to buy two and try to remember where I put the spare. So let's get out there in the garden and see what we can do with this irrigation system. So here's Nanny's garden. If you were to talk to Nanny, she'd probably tell you the garden is not doing too good. But if you ask me, as an experienced garden watcher, I think it's doing fantastic. Now things are a little bit wet here this morning because we did get about a half an inch, not a half an inch, not even a quarter of an inch probably of rain last night. But anyway, so it looks a little wet. Here's the soaker hoses. There's one right down in there. And they're hard to see now because all the soaker hoses are covered with vegetation, which is decent. Glad to see that. There you can get a good look at that soaker hose. Runs right along there. Each of these flower beds are 10 feet long and about 3 feet wide. So what I've done is I've run a length of soaker hose. I run it down one side, it loops, comes back the other. And also what I've done is this runs right along the base there. You can see that white. See this white piece of pipe right here? That's a manifold that runs the full length of the garden with taps coming off each one to water the beds. Anyhow, wow, those tomato plants are taller than me. We're just getting buds on them now. There's a few little tomatoes here and there. Beet greens. Enough beet greens to feed the army. Of course, beet greens, you know what happens when you boil beet greens. It takes about a bushel to get a pint. They really go away when you boil them off. There's some little tomatoes coming in there, look pretty. So to keep the garden watered, we put this irrigation system in. You can see the pipe running right along the edge of that flower bed there. And that pipe carries water to all the beds. Anyways, it comes out, it comes underground over here to this distribution schmozzle that I have here. This is the hose here that feeds out to the irrigation system, and inside this fitting I have a flow restrictor, so it restricts the flow down to just about a 1/16 or so of an inch diameter, because we don't want high pressure going into the irrigation system. So that's the reason for that restrictor. And then I have this, this is the water supply here, the main water supply. So as I turn that on, then I can direct here. That's water now going out to the irrigation system. Or this one's turned on to feed the hose, because there's a few other things around that need watering that aren't in the garden. So anyway, I'm just going to turn this off and turn off the irrigation, because I want to show you something here. If we disconnect the hose, now if we turn the The water is turned on. Now if we turn this on, watch what happens. Look. That's not much flow, is it? Okay. So, shut that off. I'm going to turn this valve off right now, just because. Alright, so underneath the bench, here's our filter, and I have a shut-off valve here. So, I'm going to turn this valve off. This is the supply to the filter. It's a gate valve, and you may say, geez, a gate valve, that's pretty elaborate, but that's all I had at the time. Release the pressure, and I couldn't find any filters, but I did find my filter wrench, so I guess that's good, eh? So I'm going to take this filter off, and we're going to get a look at just the condition that the filter's in. I expect it's going to be pretty scuzzy. Now check that out. Oh baby. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I got my money's worth out of that filter. Okay, I just want to rinse this container out a little. Now the inside of the container, I'm just going to take a clean rag here. I just want to give you an idea of how much scum and algae whatnot build up inside things. So this is the inside wall of the container. See that? That's what's building up from the fresh water that comes from the lake, and I think that build up over time in the soaker hoses is what's preventing water flow. So I think I diagnosed the problem. Now, is this filter going to be a solution? I don't know. I have to change it more often than once every couple of months, I'll tell you that. Anyway, I'm just going to try and wash this up a little bit, and then we're going to install it without a filter until I can get to town to pick up a spare. Okay, we're going to put this back in with no filter. And we'll turn the water back on. Bleed out the air. Alright. Alright, now we're back here. We're going to turn this water on here. And we're going to just check and see now. You saw the last time the little trickle of water we had. Let's see what we get out of here now. Yep, I'd say that's better. So we'll put the hose back on here. And we're going to open this valve. And that's the valve for the irrigation system. So let's go see if we can see anything coming out of the soaker hoses. Alright, so we can see little dribbles just starting to come out of that hose there. It's not really gushing out. Here's the one that we were looking at earlier. You see a couple little drops coming on there. What I'm thinking is I was too late getting the filter changed, and that my hoses are all plugged again. You see the hose right here, look, there's not a sign of water coming out of that hose. Oh well, what are you going to do? I think what I'm going to have to do is, if I want to ensure that these soaker hoses continue to work, is I'm going to have to change that filter maybe, or at least check it, every couple of weeks. But in the meantime, I think before next year, I'm going to have to change all these soaker hoses out because they're plugged. They don't irrigate anymore. Alright, we were able to get that filter taken out, and the water flow certainly has increased to the garden, although I think I was too late because my soaker hoses I think are plugged. But we'll see what happens the next day or so to see if they get some more drips on them. But this old filter, man, thanks a lot, buddy. You did a good job. For those of you who are wondering, I think this is a 20 micron filter. We have a 10 micron for the camp, but that we filter water from our well. This is water from the lake. So we drink the water from our well. That's why we're so normal. This is from the lake. Anyway, fresh water, hey? Nothing but lovely. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. When I get this new filter next time I'm in town, I'll stick that in there and we'll update you on how things are going. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and if you have to, wear a mask, and we'll talk to you.